Namaste to Kalki Yatra, the spirit of Krishna. I am Aisha, and I'm sorry that I didn't have enough time to inform everyone that I will be going live here briefly. So it's okay if you can't make it, or if you missed this live, it's okay. I'm Aisha, and I'm from Revolution of Light. Most of you would know me as Aisha Shiva from Revolution of Light. And I have been a spiritual guide for almost 20 years online. And I'm from India. And I have been doing a lot of work within the spiritual community for quite a while. And today I am basically here in relation to spirituality, but from looking at things from a different perspective, a little more in a personal perspective, actually. So you see, the thing is, this group, Kalki Yatra, was started by one of my students and a very close soul family member, Melissa, and I'm very grateful because this Kalki Yatra has been something that I have had on my mind for quite a while, and I never really had the time or the right approach towards doing something about it. As most of you would be wondering what Kalki Yatra actually means, Kalki is basically, in comparison to a lot of other religious terms, where they talk about Armageddon and Judgment Day, and so in the Hindu religion they refer this to as the Kalki avatar. The Kalki avatar is basically supposed to be the final incarnation of the Hindu deity, the Hindu god Vishnu. Now, there are too many gods in the Hindu religion for me to go around explaining everything to you, but I'm sure most of you would be familiar with Krishna, one of the avatars of Vishnu. So, well, the thing is, Kalki is basically supposed to be the final avatar or incarnation of Vishnu, whereby he's supposed to come here and help the world, heal the world, or whatever. But well, I'm not I'm not a very religious person. I've always been more into spirituality, and I've been into spirituality for quite a while for me to even go into the scriptures, which I was, raised into understanding as a child. So today I'm here basically to speak only about why I'm here and what the purpose of this group is and what we plan to do with this. So we'll give you a better idea of what this is about, instead of just, finding yourself in another Facebook group where you don't have a clue of what to expect. Well, I have been, as I said, in this spiritual community for almost 20 years. And all of these years, I've gotten to meet a lot of people who turned out to become my clients or students or even followers. Now, over the years, if you have been in the spiritual community yourself, you know that a lot of people believe more in intuition than scriptures and so on. So, well, a lot of people I have come across have been extraordinarily gifted individuals who, over time, have been able to identify that there is more to me than I actually talk about or reveal. And so this is not easy for me to speak, because I don't speak about this very often, but I have to, and this is my intention today. So the thing is about Krishna, a lot of people in India really look up to him as one of the supreme God, the supreme power. But for me, he's always been different. And I have not been religious, though I was raised a Vaishnavite from childhood, because my parents were Hindus, and I was raised a Hindu, and somehow I found myself not too interested in the religious aspect in any religion, and therefore I evolved as I should. And I got into spirituality, and but somehow, you never really you never really can pass signs that come across repeatedly until you, that is the thing about spirituality, when you keep dismissing signs, dismissing any kind of messages that keep coming through, dismissing even the, what we call as coincidences. I've had dreams of Krishna ever since I was very young, even to understand who he is at the age of 2 or 3. That was my very first exposure to this deity. And so the first time I looked up in the night sky when I was about 3 years old, I still remember this as if it happened yesterday. I was very small. I wasn't very communicative, and I wasn't able to express or tell anyone what I saw. But I looked up in the night sky, and it was not what we normally see. It was like a canvas, a painting on a canvas. And I saw Krishna seated on his throne or whatever, and he was looking right at me. And this was across the whole sky, and that was the first experience that I ever had with Krishna in this lifetime. And I didn't understand who he was because I've never seen someone like that. And that was followed up by other deities, but the prime deity that kept looking at me was always Krishna. And so I didn't tell this to anyone. I don't think I even spoke about this to my parents. So very few people know about this. And so, over the years, as I grew, I realized that I was always bumping into something related to him, but I always dismissed it again as just a coincidence, or, just like anyone else does. And I was more connected to other things. I felt more drawn to other things like Christianity or any religion that would, seem like the happening thing wherever I was, and I wasn't in India at that point. So it was only in the last 10 years that things started to change. When I became more receptive towards my spiritual journey, my work here, it became more prominent that I was here for a different purpose, and I was on a mission to help a lot of people. And I started taking up my spiritual journey more seriously. And when this happened, that's when I felt that I should pay attention to these signs, because when you preach, you have to also practice. So I decided to pay attention instead of ignore. The more I paid attention to it, the more it became undeniable that there was a connection between me and Krishna. And I started having these visions, and I started having these visions almost every night. And one fine day, he just walked right into my room. There have been other experiences connected to the spirit of Krishna, which I cannot elaborate because it's a very long story. But those who have known me for over the years understand what it's like to have experienced all of this, and to be able to sit here and talk about it. You see, it's not the easiest thing to do, especially when your path is different, especially when you have no intentions of gaining fame or wealth, connecting yourself with such controversies. And the thing is, I'm a very reclusive person by nature, and even my close friends know that it took a while for them to, really get to know me better. And I'm a very reclusive person, and I don't chat with people much. And the last thing I would do is create a controversy around me when I'm already having a successful career, and which I really, really, really believe is something I'm very grateful for. And there is no way I would create a controversy to even boost this in any way, because, to be honest, I feel that it's not even required. I don't even talk about my past incarnations. Even before this whole Krishna episode happened in my life, I wasn't even the kind who spoke about any of my incarnations. See, people in the spiritual community are able to sense you. This is not about scriptures. This is always about intuition. So when people sense something, they know that there's more to it than you're actually showing or talking about. So they read through you. And so a lot of people over the years have been asking me questions like, do you ever tap into your past lives? And who are you really? Why are you here? And a lot of questions, even my live sessions and emails, I get messages. And so for a while I started to ignore them, but after a point of time I figured that I shouldn't. And after Krishna appeared in my life and we started taking this journey together as, I would say, a team, first and foremost as a team, that's done so many missions and incarnations together. And second, as couple, if I may even say that without offending anyone. The thing is, I feel that there's a lot of things connected to this whole Kalki Yatra, more than what it seems. You see, this is the hardest thing that I've done in my life. And a lot of people think that, going out there and saying I'm Radhe is something that, adds glitter to, adds more glory to whoever I am. But it's been pretty much the opposite. And people who've been closest to me know what it's been like for the last few years, ever since I declared who I am. It's very hard because I'm a married woman and I have children, and I also have a career, and people who have always looked up to me as a spiritual guide, and for me to suddenly come up with something like that was very difficult, and I still face the consequences on a personal level, and it's been very hard for me. But the thing is, I like to say that I do not wish to deny who I am, because at the same time, I'm not ashamed of who I am, and I'm very proud of who I am, and I'm very, very proud of who I'm affiliated with, who I'm connected with, because I love him much more than I would say on a religious level. I don't love him as a deity. I don't love him for his avatars. I don't love him for who he is to the world. I love him for who he has been to me over time. And I think that matters more to me than what anything else means, to the world, because there's a lot of confusion about who he was in his incarnation here based on scriptures, and I feel that I don't read scriptures, but as a child I was taught to read those scriptures, and today when I remember whatever I remember from them, I felt there was a lot of hearsay and rumors and gossips. That's all it was. See, I did a lot of past life regression on myself, and I did a lot of things, and I'm not the kind of person who's easily convinced just by hearsay alone. I need to be convinced. I asked a lot of questions. I'm one of the most stubborn students ever, because I always believe in asking why. I need to know why, and so I really went down to the roots of everything that I ever knew, right down to the roots. I wanted to know what this was about. Why do I have this connection? What are my past lives? What do I have to do with this? Why am I even told this now? Because I'm the kind of person that I remember most of my incarnations, but unless there is a reason for me to even mention them here so as to serve people and it would actually help, I don't feel the need to even discuss it. Because you see, what matters is the moments that we have here today. It's not about what we did in the past lives. It is irrelevant, because most of us don't remember, and those who do remember, I don't feel it's any use unless you want to release some karma or soul contracts or whatever. So this was something that I really wanted to research on myself before I even discuss it with even one person. So, and he was very helpful, of course. He was always very helpful, and he revealed a lot of things to me that I wouldn't have found out otherwise, and so these visions came to me, and these dreams, and I started recalling a lot of things, and out of all the things that I've gathered over the years about him and me, I knew one thing, that I told him that, this is going to be so hard on me, maybe the hardest thing I've ever done my entire life, because I have to sit here and figure out what I'm even going to do with all of this information, or if I'm going to do anything with it at all. You see, I never wanted to, I don't judge people, and as far as religion is concerned, I know that Hinduism can be very radical, as much as any other religion can be, and I'm not here to judge or say that you shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. It's their path, it's their journey. I respect their soul's journey, and if that's the way some religions, some groups and communities wish to worship him, well, by all means, it's still love in some form. As long as I'm not judged for the way I love him, I'm fine with it. But you see, the thing is, as far as India is concerned, there were a lot of people who asked me from India why, even recently I was approached by the media as to why I'm not going out there and revealing myself when I'm supposed to be Radhe, and why is it that people all over the world know about me and not the ones in India. I said, well, for simple reasons, because I'm not here to publicize that, and unless there's a reason why I should, and is there a real reason why I should go out there and talk about this. And the truth is, sometimes I feel that only those who are supposed to understand this will ever understand it. And I respect those who don't. But I know there is a risk to my life, to my children, to my family, if I was to reveal all of this, because some people can be pretty harsh when it comes to their beliefs. But the truth is, I have given so much into this over the years. I'm not afraid to love him. I'm not afraid to love him the way I love him, because that's all I know. And I have worked with him. We're pretty much very close, and I don't feel the need to be ashamed of who I am. When there are people in India who claim to be Radhe, who claim to be Krishna, and all of these things are going on, and well, why can't I even say a little about him to share the truth to at least the spiritual community and whoever else wants to listen to it? So this is my tribute. Kalki Yatra, this group, is something that was contributed by Melissa, and I'm very grateful to her and all of you who are here in this group. I'm very grateful. But Kalki Yatra itself is way more than what you see here today. I intend to take this out into the world because I want people to love the spirit of Krishna, and not just the Krishna, the deity that religion has introduced to this world. Much like any of the ascended masters, he too has been misunderstood, and his message has been misunderstood. And my responsibility here, I feel, from my point of view, there are two perspectives. One is on a personal note, and the other one is more of as a messenger for him. The first, as far as the personal connection is concerned, just like any family member would do, for me, he has married me several times. We still look at each other as spouses, and it hurts him, to be misunderstood. And I have shared a few of his stories out here, and I know that some of you may accept it and some don't, but that's not my concern, basically. My concern is to put the truth out there and let those who are supposed to be drawn to it anyway. What I like to say is that I hope Kalki Yatra would in some way reveal the spirit of Krishna to you, as some of you have experienced his spirit through maybe as my students, and sometimes maybe as my friends, clients. You may have had your experiences. I'm going to take this out into the world from now on, and I know there will be risks involved personally, because to be very honest, it has affected my marriage life, because being a twin flame and being someone who is right now at the final incarnation, and we have merged, it is the toughest thing to do is to live with one and love another. And I did not in any way, how do I say this? I did not in any way, neither did he in any way, come in the way of the marriage that I have here. It was the circumstances that surrounded the marriage that kind of caused it to drift apart. But, it did cost me more than what people would think it did. So I'm risking a lot. I'm a mother of 2 children, and I am responsible for what they would think about this. But I know that the universe released this information to me. The universe has put me in such a situation to be his messenger, to bring out the truth into the world, to put all of this at risk. And I believe that there is a purpose behind this, just as much as there's a purpose behind everything under the sun. So with this in my heart, I am taking the next leap forward to connect to the world. Kalki Yatra will manifest physically as a spiritual center or temple in somewhere in the U.S. in the future, and I am looking for more people who can help with this entire dream of Krishna's, because this will be something completely different from any of the thousands of temples of his around the world. This will be his spirit communicating with the rest of the world, whoever feels drawn to it intuitively, and he opens his arms and heart out to the spiritual community, especially in love and respect to every soul, because he and I, we both don't feel the need to put ourselves on a pedestal. If you read the last article that I put up on the group, which said on what are the things that you need to basically be and have to love him, and there's nothing but love that he requires. And so I feel that Kalki Yatra, in this lifetime of mine, my final incarnation, I would be able to contribute in some way before I leave the truth about Krishna, the real spirit of Krishna. And I thank each one of you for being here and supporting in any way you can. And I love you so much, and thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Namaste.